your camera on, us or you?
Y'all.
Okay. So if you want to turn it on you and just let everybody know we're starting.
All right. Yeah, we're starting the Speak Up and Inspire series live edition, 1 year anniversary. I'm some guy named Jonathan Coleman. We're reporting live from the wonderful home of Cedric and Tiffany. And we're just getting ready.
That's him talking now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's me talking now.
And then just click 1 year anniversary for the Speak Up and Inspire series, and then hit start.
Oh, like write it?
Mm-hmm. And then you can just put the phone down and close it. Okay. Yeah.
All right, y'all ready?
No. Just go ahead, but I'm still typing.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
And we'll start.
And then hit start. Mm-hmm. There you go. Just start.
All right.
And now what?
Just hit start and close the phone.
Like,
Yep.
this was the
I put Speak Up and Inspire crew. Yep. All right. Hello, everybody. This is Tiffany with the Speak Up and Inspire series, and tonight we are celebrating the 1 year anniversary of the Speak Up and Inspire series podcast. We started the podcast on this day last year on a Saturday at the Halo Lounge, Tattoo Lounge. Halo Lounge off of Central Avenue in Charlotte. So first we want to thank Miss Haley for letting us have the Speak Up and Inspire series there for our first two shows. We did a live show there where we invited guests and people that were supporting us for the Speak Up and Inspire series. Now, the Speak Up and Inspire series, it started off as being a platform for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. But from there, and seeing my network and everything that they're doing in the community, I wanted to not only feature survivors, but I also wanted to feature people in the community who are our neighbors, everyday people like you and me, who are doing great things in the community. So that's how the Speak Up and Inspire continued for a whole full year. Now, this is 2020, and we are starting a brand new, fresh year, and we are already booked up with interviews up until April 27th. So we are really, really happy that we have so many that have supported us. We have a lot of faithful followers, a lot of faithful people that are watching the Speak Up and Inspire series, and we just want to say thank you. By doing that, we got together tonight in my home, very personal, and that's what we're all about. The Speak Up and Inspire series, it's not scripted. We don't talk beforehand and give out questions. We don't do anything like that. It's very live, it's very personal, and that's what I've been told by people that watch that they enjoy the most about the Speak Up and Inspire series. That they can tell that it's a natural flow, and we're just having great conversations about our work in the community. Part of that is also celebrating our guests on the show, and that's what we are doing tonight. We have Cedric Sanders of 303 Creatives. We have Miss Irish Benton of D.I.V.A Nation. And then we have Miss Lesah Richardson of Memorable Moments by Lee. And we have our cameraman, Mr. J of Blacktopia, and you will get to see him later because he's filming for us right now. So tonight we're really going to just kind of talk to everybody and kind of see how their 2019 went, what were their accomplishments that they want to share, and then we're going to jump into 2020 and talk about what BVP and Speak Up and Inspire's theme is for 2020, and also find out from these phenomenal people what their goals are for 2020 as well. So we are going to start off with Miss Irish, and the acclaimed Miss Irish. Miss Irish is the founder of D.I.V.A Nation. She is also an author. She is a motivational and inspirational speaker. And she's just been a really big mentor to me, getting out there and speaking more, doing more advocacy work in the community, really focused on fighting against domestic violence. That's how I met Miss Irish, and from then on, we've just been kindreds. We support each other. We've been supporting each other for a couple of years now, and so it's only right that she's here. She is going to be a guest on the Speak Up and Inspire series. I can't see. Let me see. On April 6th. So April 6, 2020, she is going to be a guest on the Speak Up and Inspire series. But one of the other reasons why I invited her here is because she was there for one of our first of 2 live tapings that we did to start off the Speak Up and Inspire series. So I wanted to talk to you, Ms. Irish, and tell us how your experience was witnessing the first 2 episodes.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. So the introduction has been made, and I am Diva Nation Against Battered Women in Cabarrus County. So I remember the first setting. We were in Charlotte off of Central Drive. I remember the stairs. I remember getting to Charlotte. I was so lost, and I remember asking an officer where the location was, and he wasn't familiar.
Okay.
So I remember walking up Central Avenue in Charlotte, unarmed. Unarmed. Young girl, unarmed. No man on my no armor bearer, nothing. So I'm dialing Tiffany, and of course the show's already being recorded, so she couldn't answer. I'm frustrated on Central Avenue, and then there was maybe a restaurant or a parlor or something, and there were these other people sitting out there. Here I am, the only African American woman on the streets of Central Avenue, lost. Cedric was nowhere to be found. In fact, let me give Cedric some credit though. I think Cedric just happened to be walking out and saw me like, sis, are you lost? Right. And when I saw this black man, God, I thank you.
Just want to make sure.
When I saw the black man, because I'm out here lost, all these other people around me, and I don't know where he happened to come out.
Let them know where you live at.
I live in Concord.
Where you
I live in Concord, Cabarrus County.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't.
You don't have to be armed in Cabarrus County. But anyway, Cedric happened to be walking out.
Survive up north, Tiffany.
No, I'm not even going up north. I'm not even don't even invite me. But Cedric happened to come out to meet me and got me. And I remember saying, I gotta walk down those stairs. It was like 15 stairs down into the lounge. But nevertheless, walking in, I remember how elegant everything was set up, how professional everything was set up. And I remember the food. I remember there was food, coffee, maybe tea or some things like that. Yeah, she had it set up.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going in and just seeing all of the other supporters, seeing some of the community in that atmosphere was life-changing. It was breathtaking. And you were fabulous, because I remember you had on pink, right?
I had on like a purple.
It was fuchsia. It was fuchsia, but
That's the best word.
Yeah, he remembers. So it was fuchsia. So I remember seeing you there, and I remember seeing my sister Alicia there, and our sister Katrina with no more. What is it? Loving yourself. No more abuse. Shout out to Katrina, who traveled in from Georgia to be on that set. And then there was another young lady there. I can't remember her name.
Nicolean.
And so anyway, it was just a fabulous setting, and just the welcome that you offered everybody, and just sitting there and hearing each survivor's story was incredible. And I remember, I think there may have been a few moments where we probably teared up a little bit. I remember that. But you know what I love about that the most? What I loved about that moment the most was the men. The men showed up. Mr. Coleman, who's filming, was there. Cedric and a few other men. So I think that was a powerful thing to see men sitting in the midst of hearing women's survival stories.
A few of us too.
And also learning, because I think think when men typically get into relationships or have a desire to be in a relationship with a woman who's been a survivor, coping skills, learning how to cope with us, learning how to communicate with us, learning those triggers, learning, what to do, what not to do, So I think, and just for the educational moment, being able to go back into the community as a man and say, hey, men, let's step up. Men, let's treat our ladies like queens. And as you all know, I now have a new motto for my women. Y'all are my queens. I don't address you as Tiffany, or I address you. So if you're ever on my Facebook page, and most of you that are out there, it's always queen or king.
Yeah.
So we have to identify who we are. Remember where we come from. We come from a land. We come from a continent of queens and kings. So let us not forget that. But nevertheless, it was a phenomenal moment. And Speak Up Inspire, gosh, it is the bomb. It is the bomb, yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It was important for me to have you there. And you're right. That doing the live taping, I think, really set the precedent for what we wanted to accomplish on the Speak Up and Inspire series. And I think that we've done that.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
that we have set the tone for what it is that we want to do. We have had awesome guests, inspirational guests, which is the whole point of the Speak Up and Inspire series. And just those first two really just set the tone.
Yes.
So thank you again for coming and supporting us in our first two tapings. And also, again, a shout out again to Ms. Haley at Halo Lounge for letting us, or sponsoring the space for us. And it's a beautiful space. So if you are ever in the Central Avenue Noda area, then make sure you stop by Halo Lounge. It's off of Central. It's a beautiful tattoo lounge. They also do piercings and yoga. They do a lot of things in there.
Art.
Yeah, they sell art, they sell clothes.
Clothing,
Yeah, so if you ever get a chance, go to Halo Lounge off of Central and go support Haley. She was one of our first sponsors for the Speak Up and Inspire series. Also, I want to talk to Miss Alicia. You were also one of our first guests on the Speak Up and Inspire series. I think it was the first one or the second one? The second one, okay. Oh, for the second one. So tell us, how was your experience? And you were actually one of the guests.
Yeah. It was emotional. Yeah, it was really emotional. Listen, because when you sharing this story, it's you putting yourself back in that place. So when you putting yourself back in the place, it's like, I shared this story multiple times. I know I ain't gonna cry, but then you get to a point where you get vulnerable, and it's like, oh my gosh. But at the same time, you have to release it and share it, because your story can help someone else.
True. Very true.
Can I allude on what she was saying? So when Alicia was saying that when you have to relive those moments and you read, that's just like when we wrote our books.
Right.
For any of us that have written our books, you go back and you relive that moment. And I remember the sobbing. But now, what I think is very important for all of us is now that when you are healed, when you are whole, you can tell that story, and sometimes you'll find yourself laughing about it. I've actually gone back now, but that's when you have healed.
You're right.
And when you have surpassed all of that, you can go back and laugh. Because sometimes I go back and look, and I say, and I can't say this on Facebook Live, so y'all just help me, because sometimes I get ahead of myself. But sometimes I be going, what's wrong with me? Fooling with this fool,
Yeah.
And you go back, and then it also allows you to dig deep. Because not only, sometimes we blame and we point the finger, but sometimes you have to ask yourself, girl, what was wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? Because I was the prize.
That's true.
I was the gift. He was lucky. So, but I think it's when you're completely healed, you can tell that story. And as you said, it is for somebody else now, and that's why we survived.
Right.
That's exactly why we survived.
Right. I definitely agree with that. There have been moments where, in the middle of doing speaking engagements, I just kind of stop and think to myself, where was I at that moment?
Right.
Personally.
Right.
That I allowed myself to be in this situation.
Absolutely.
But then also, there's been times where I've had tears of joy
Yes.
because I'm alive. I'm
Yes.
able to share it.
Yes.
And people are connecting
Yes.
Yeah.
with
Yes.
with our
Yes.
stories.
Yes. One of the things you said earlier about your audience, I know you have a podcast and you Speak Up and Inspire. You said people like the realness of it. People connect to realness.
Right.
And that's why they are connecting to you
Yeah.
because you're not faking, you're not fake news,
Right.
and you keep it real with people.
Yeah.
You're
You're being authentic.
Yeah, you're being authentic,
you know,
and that's what people connect to.
That
So
is-
people can tell fake from real.
Yes.
We're not- girl, we real right here. We keep it real.
Yeah. Alicia, I remember when you were telling us your story, and all of us were able to identify with you because you've been a victim more than once.
Yeah.
And I know myself, I've been a victim of domestic violence and sexual assault more than once. I know that you have been a 2-time domestic violence survivor. So that was something that we were able to talk more and really dig deep into. And you were able to give us, kind of your intake about how you were able to pull yourself from that and move from being a victim to being a survivor.
Because it's like when you in that situation, like you said, you come like, what? Me personally, I just kept saying, well, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? That I kept allowing it to happen over and over and over, and it got to a point when I was in the situation that I wanted to give up.
Right.
Then I had to realize it's bigger than me.
Right.
Not only for my children, but for anyone else that I can help. Because once I was able to heal from it, that's when God revealed to me that you needed to go through this because it's someone else going to need to hear your story.
Yes. And that's the whole point of the Speak Up and Inspire series. We're not just talking to domestic violence survivors and assault survivors anymore. We're talking to Miss Betty next door,
Absolutely.
who is baking cookies for the homeless.
Absolutely.
We're talking to people who have a design company who's doing free logos for someone starting up their business because we're trying to give back to people.
Right.
So it's, it's not, a lot of times we only hear about domestic violence and we only hear about crimes when someone important or a celebrity is hurt or commits the crime.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
we need to know about our neighbors.
Absolutely,
We
and
need
I
to know
think,
what's going on
you
at
just
home.
made a valid point because when law enforcement were then getting involved, when some of their were going to some of these calls, domestic violence calls, and they were perhaps being murdered or attacked, then it became national news. But somebody like Tiffany or somebody like Jean or somebody like Alicia, when we get battered or when we go and we make these reports, it's kind of like, okay, they're just writing this report and who cares?
Right.
Who cares? But when it's their then it matters.
Right.
So, but nevertheless, I think we are in a pretty good place right now. I think law enforcement is changing some of the way that they view domestic violence. Unfortunately, some states like South Carolina, they still have a long ways to go because their definition of domestic violence varies and it's very different from North Carolina. So fortunately, we have laws that do protect us now. And so I know when you were talking about, I want to go back to some things that you were saying when Tiffany asked you, how did you overcome and how did you, survive? Sometimes there are epiphanies. I know for me, the epiphany was, and it's important for us to let victims or people who may currently be in domestic violence relationships, the number one thing we want you to know is that it does not get better. It does not get better. I think we each can vouch for the times that the perpetrator or the victimizer apologizes and they say that I love you, I'm sorry, or even if it's the narcissistic blame, well, you made me do this, but it never gets better. But one of the things I wanted to point out was when you said when she asked you how did you overcome, you said that you had to, it was like God just woke you up. So I think that goes back to saying that at the end of the day, it's really going to be up to that victim when they're ready to come out.
It really is.
It really is, because I'm sure whether it was your family, whether it was a mentor, somebody probably said to you a dozen times, Alicia, you need to leave. Alicia, why do you continue to, put up with him? Why do you continue to let him do that? Same thing for you. And I've never been a victim of sexual assault, so that's a whole nother entity. But, with the domestic violence, I know that was with your ex-husband. And you were in covenant. You had assets. You had children. You had so many things. And then women think, I can't leave all of this.
Right.
With me, that was my situation. My first abuser was my ex-husband. We had our, our son, and then we had children. And then I was a little bit younger. Y'all probably got really younger. But, and when you're in your 20s, you're thinking, where am I going? How do I survive with these children? Because it's always been too codependent, and then you think, how can I live on my own or without him? So, I mean, there are just so many layers, so many layers, but I just wanted to say that the epiphany for me was, I had an epiphany, and this was with my second abuser, because we did mention I was a 2-time survivor. He was one of those that would batter me, but then he loved me. And he would batter me, and then he loved me, and then I would somehow feel sorry for him. Somehow I believed that he was willing to change, but the epiphany was either he was going to kill me or I was going to kill him, because that's where it had gotten to. Because, see, you're not going to keep hitting me in my head with so many times. You know what I'm saying? And so it got to the point where, and y'all get the book, Breaking His Silence. Can I promote? Thank you. You sure can. So the thing is, Breaking His Silence, in that book, I disclose how, for the first time, after being battered for 7 years with the last abuser, one day I snapped, and I didn't believe in snap. Y'all seen the show Snap? I didn't believe in snap.
It's possible.
I didn't believe in snap. I was like, girl, you know what you was doing. But I literally snapped, and I didn't come to until I started seeing trails of blood, and he was saying, somebody call the police, and I was like, oh, so now you a biatch. Okay, now you a biatch. See, we keep it real up here, right? So now you screaming and hollering because I bashed you in your head. So now you know what it feels like to get hit in your head. You know what I'm saying?
You don't like that, do you?
You don't like that. Now you screaming and hollering and talking about, somebody call the police. But you got to be in a body bag. But anyway, the thing was, that was the epiphany, and I said, wow, wait a minute. We're doing this? This is love? Okay, so I gotta be busted up. I gotta be busted up to love you? And then I've got children, and I got my grandchildren, I have my family, and I was like, wow, no, because this is what's happening. You're gonna kill me, and my children are gonna mourn, my family is gonna mourn. You're going to go to prison and still have your life, or vice versa. So, I mean, there's a lot to learn, and this is why I thank God for what you're doing. And I'm going to say some more things about you. I thank God for what you're doing, because we each have different communities. That's true. We each have different networks, and so we each are making an impact in someone's life.
I wanted to talk to Cedric, because for Cedric, you have been there supporting me and my journey and what I'm doing with Butterfly Visions Project and Speak Up and Inspire series. You were also one of the many men that were there for the first 2 tapings of the Speak Up and Inspire series along with Jonathan. So how was that experience for you, hearing all the women's stories?
It's very, very new for me. I'll put it like that. I remember, knowing about domestic violence and sexual assault, or hearing stuff here and there, or whatever, but to experience it in that light was very, I don't even know the word to use, inspirational, I guess. It's tough to look at all you women that were up there and to hear these stories, and it's like, y'all don't look like what y'all been through. So it's like, I'm looking at y'all like, I mean, I know you, but I obviously don't know you
You
like
just
that.
get
Like now, like
but
I really know you, and now I'm
Right.
like, man, like y'all are so strong to be able to go through all of that, and you know, especially for me with you, you know, joining the movement for Butterfly Visions Project and just seeing the progress and all of that, it's very educational for me because I didn't know half of the stuff that I know now. But, you know, I learned a lot of what you went through kind of on the fly. So for me, I mean, this was even before the book, you know, just going to the events and hearing her speak. Even at one of your events, she you know, she put her story out, and some of it I haven't even heard yet.
I was just going to ask you that. It's,
So
every time she shared her story, it was more pieces.
yeah, like
that
I
she was
got
hearing,
more
and it's
pieces
like, well, wait a minute.
each time, and
Yeah.
and I know it wasn't necessarily on purpose for her part, but it was like, you know, I'm looking like I didn't even know that. So so then, you know, the event's over, and I'm like, I don't. Sometimes I just give her a hug. I don't know, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I didn't even know that, and so it just kind of pushes me to make sure that I'm supporting you, being there for you. So now, you know, I'm, you know, art director for Butterfly Visions Project, and I'm doing all the graphics and t-shirts and everything. And now it's at the point now where, especially after that first taping, seeing all the amount of men, number one. Definitely was expecting it to be more ladies, you know, not that it's a sexist thing, but there was a lot of men supporting, whether it was the husbands, the boyfriends, brothers, uncles, and it was actually more men in the audience than it was women.
Yes.
And I think it was, what was Mr. and Miss Banner, with her husband, and we just kind of connected right off the bat because both of us kind of went through a similar thing where, you know, we're not necessarily knights in shining armor, but we, you know, have to deal with, you know, the people that we love after all of this has happened, and then to continue to be there for them. So it's very moving, and so now it's seeing that the impact that it had for the men to be there, the men to be supportive. I want to push that more. Push that more. So we've been speaking to a couple of like men survivors, and I got a couple of friends, a couple of people that actually want to speak out. They want.
Oh, I know somebody. I should.
They want to. They want to. You know, tell their stories. I mean, I even have a story or whatever, and I again, this is all educational for me. So I never knew that what I went through would even qualify.
Right.
And mine was more sexual assault.
Okay.
Not necessarily domestic violence.
Right.
But, you know, I never even put it in there. You know, and then again for me or whatever, there's an ego thing. And
Yes.
I'm a
And
man,
society has
I can't be sensitive and this and that, whatever. So it's like I said, this whole thing has motivated me now to.
Yeah. Society has a big perspective on you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, society, even as women, we're taught that men are to be strong. Men are hunters. Men are protectors. Men are providers. And I'm glad you said that because with our boys, with our young boys, when they fall off of a bike or when they get scratched up or hurt, the first thing we say is moms is, boys straighten up, boys don't cry. And so we're teaching them. Okay, but these are the new moms. The new millennial moms. New millennial moms, but back in my, millennial, it was boy, get up. Boy, I wish you would cry. So what we do is we teach them to hide their emotions.
Yeah, that's true.
They bottle them up and they say, well, I can't cry because if I cry, then I'm a punk. Or if I cry, I'm weak.
You know, one thing my dad used to say to my son, and my son, when my dad passed away, was 3. And if my son fell or got hurt, he would say, "Man up," and I would
Right,
say
right.
to him, "He's not a man.
Yeah.
He's a boy. Let him cry."
Valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do he even know what man up means?
Yeah. And how do you even know what pain is?
Right.
How do you even know how to deal with emotions when you do grow up?
Yeah.
Because all you remember, and that's psychological.
Yeah.
And it's- and I
It's
think
psychological.
by that happened with, like, I've learned in the past, I've learned that with males that are the actual abuser, it's because they didn't know how to express
Agree.
their feelings, and the only thing they knew was once they feel all of this tension balled up,
Yes.
you know, it's because that's all they knew how
Right.
to release it.
Right.
Because they can't release it by crying. Couldn't release it by expressing how they feel and talking about it because they wasn't taught that.
Yeah.
Oh yes, because people that hurt people.
That's
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, and I believe that too, and so I think that's powerful that Cedric is willing to start a movement with me and get all of this information and talk to me and a men's lock-in and talk about vulnerability, what it's like to be vulnerable as a man, or even how to cope.
Right.
So I'm not married yet. I'm single. just want to throw that out there.
I also want to add, I apologize. I know you promoting,
Yeah, what I was going to say is, when we have conversation, because nothing's perfect.
Right.
I would love to think that,
Right.
but when we have those moments where we disagree, are we able to come together and agree to disagree without fighting or arguing? Because I'm still, I'm not ashamed to say it. I still deal with some triggers.
Right.
So that means I still deal with some
Yeah.
triggers. So if your voice, if I'm talking to you in a civilized manner. I'm loud, so I might be loud now. But the fact of the matter is, if I'm having a civilized conversation and I see tension or feel the tension, then I go into either fight or survival mode because I'm like already clenching fists. If your voice level rises, trying to teach y'all, but my voice level rises, then I'm going into fight and survival mode because I don't, because of the trauma, past trauma. And I want to say this really quick: that does not mean that we are not healed.
Right.
You can be healed. I'm healed, but I still have triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like if I'm afraid of dogs, but I'm not scared of little heart. But if I see a big dog, my mind reverts back to when I was bitten by a dog.
Right.
But my wound is healed.
Right.
Understand, my wound is healed, and I remember where you bit me.
Right.
But I'm not going to let you bite me there again.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. I think we all experience triggers. So I think this is a good question for us as ladies. And you're single. So when it comes to you're single. She's single, guys.
Promote girls.
So being that you're single and Alicia's not married, but you are in a committed relationship, when you get into a relationship with someone, and for him, he learned about me listening to me at speaking engagements.
Right.
Because one thing I did not do and probably would not do is just pour out
You don't.
all of my past
You
pain
don't.
and
You
my
don't.
victimization.
No.
You don't.
You
So
don't.
when you start dating someone, how do you handle that when you because you're a survivor and you're a
I'm a
speaker.
survivor.
So how do you handle that when you start dating someone, Alicia?
Well, first of all, I let them know that I have boundaries.
Right.
It's first and foremost, you have to have boundaries because if you don't, you're going to fall right back into that.
You're
victim
back
rage.
into it.
But at the same time, it's more so like, I don't mean to be just throwing everything all up front, but I don't like this, I don't like that, and I don't like that because I don't know how it's going to make me react.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
then
Right.
we good now.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so, but I don't say, I say because I've been through some things and I grew up seeing some things. So certain things I just
Not for
don't
you.
like and I don't accept.
Right.
So it's either you in or you out.
Right.
At the same time, it's like as time goes on, they will see how I react to certain things and I will see how they do certain things. Like if you, like you said, if you raising your voice or doing certain things, so wait a minute, hold up. Then you're gonna be like, well, wait a minute, what happened to the sweet You tell me, because you flipped on me, so now I flip.
Right.
So it's like you said, the trigger. So it's like you still have to be mindful and think, okay, this person don't know my full story. They don't know what happened. And when I start sharing my story is once I feel I'm really comfortable. We've been dating and stuff for
months.
When you build your trust.
basically.
Right, yeah.
Right. You really can't put a time frame on
Yeah.
it. That's why I'm like, you can't put a time
Yeah.
frame on. But when you feel as though you really, that's your best friend, and you really trust them with sharing, because that's like an intimate moment.
Very intimate. Yeah.
And when you get into that point of like, okay, all right, I can let my guard down, I feel relaxed and comfortable to share. And so now they looking at, oh, it makes sense why you react on certain things.
Right.
So,
Right.
What about you, Ms. Benton?
I think for me it is very observational. I observe, I listen to conversation, I watch body language, body movements.
That's a big one.
Very big. And as an author, I usually, if they know that I'm an author, I usually don't tell them where they can get the book. Because what I have learned is that the more information you give, sometimes when people aren't intentional about you, they can use that information against you.
True.
So when people, and this is for anybody, man or woman, learn to be observant. Learn to just communicate on what's valuable, what's pertinent, what's information at the moment. And as you stated, is if the relationship becomes intentional, and I feel like it's worth talking about some of it, but I'm not going to tell you everything. I ain't going to tell you where you can hit me, or I'm not going to tell you where you can get my vulnerability. Because see, the next one ain't going to make it. You know what I'm saying? The next one ain't going to make it out there. We ain't get ready to be hit, and then somebody going to let you know.
Disclaimer, you did not hear on the Speak Up and Inspire series.
Right. You didn't hear a thing. You didn't hear a thing. But on a serious note, I think it's just a matter of if I feel like this relationship is intentional for me, and if it's going to progress and go somewhere, there may be some things like we talk about. There may be some triggers I need to say, hey, you know what? Just as we talked about, when we communicate and we have a disagreement, are we able to sit down and talk about it? You know, there's just some things that we can talk about, but I don't think they need to know the history of the two abusers. You know, So
Good things. Okay, so we're in 2020 now.
Yes.
Tell me one of your biggest accomplishments in 2019, Miss Alicia.
When I had my brunch in October, it was called the Fancy Hat Brunch, a survivor story unmasked.
I love it.
And that was a powerful event. Yeah, it really was. It was survivors sharing their story. And hadn't had that big fancy hat.
It sounds classy.
It was
very classy.
It was.
Inspirational.
It was. That too. That was my big 2019 aha moment. Like,
Yes.
Yes.
What about you, Mr. Cedric? What's your big 2019 moment for 303 Creatives? Oh, tell us about 303 Creatives. We haven't talked about it. We were talking over here. Tell us about 303
Y'all have
Creatives.
y'all time to shine.
He's learned.
So tell us briefly about 303 Creatives, and then tell us your big 2019 moment.
So 303 Creatives is my graphics company. I do a freelance graphic design. Let me explain that freelance is not free. People make that mistake, but it does not mean it's free. That means it's something that I do in my free time. It does not mean it's free. You gotta pay me for my work. Okay. So, but I've been doing freelance graphic design for the last 15 years. I went to art school here in Charlotte. So anything from logos, branding, t-shirt design, posters, banners, flyers, business cards. So I do all that design work. So I do, you know, all of the design for Speak Up and Inspire, for Butterfly Business Project, for myself, for you know, other people as well. And then I also do building in the community with my group Friends that are family. So Jay, you've been to a couple of my events when we do the bingo at the nursing home. That's been going on for the last 6 years. I'm very, very proud of that. Yeah, As far as a big moment for 2019, I can't really say that I've had one of those kind of moments. I will say that there's been a handful of clients that I've done work for, and for me, I stayed through the whole process. So we, from the beginning, the creative process to, once we're finished, I'm the type of person where we're not done yet. Now we've built this relationship. If you need me, you can call me. I might be able to steer you in the right direction. Like with me and my wife, we are really big on networking. So I build a nice circle of network. So, I will design a business card for somebody, and, I give them the files, and I'm like, hey, if you want to use Vistaprint, that's great. Whatever works your boat, whatever's within your budget. But I got, 2 or 3 people that I know that print locally, some that don't, some that do special printing. And so I like to use that. So, if people need me, I like to always be able to offer that. But I've had quite a handful. One in particular is DJ Sean Nice. And you guys may or may not know him, but he's really, really big here in the city. And I did his logo a couple years ago. And, I always ask people, when they need a logo done, how do you plan on using it? Because your logo is your foundation, and that's your branding, and then that's what, you want people to see it. You want people to keep seeing it so much. When they see it, they know that it's you.
Right.
So it's just like right now, like if you see the Target symbol, you know that it's Target.
You know it's Target.
You see the Target dog, you know that it's Target. That's
Target, yeah.
very well marketed skills.
Absolutely.
So, when I design for people, I try to do that. So like even with Tiffany's with Butterfly Visions Project, I'm gonna try to make this butterfly known everywhere. We put it on everything so that people will see it and they know that's Butterfly Visions Project. So like Sean Nice, he definitely put it on his computer, and so whenever he's at events, that's what everybody sees. When they're taking pictures of him at the events, you see that. He wears it on his shirts. You see that. And now it's on flyers, so then it's everywhere. So it's just to see something like that and be like, you know what, that's me.
Right.
So, I'm definitely proud of something like that. So even with Tiffany, with Butterfly Visions, with Speak Up and Inspire, like, I'm attached to all that. So to see that go out there, like, that's me.
Yeah.
So, so I don't think there's a very particular thing that I can pick out, but
Well, you had one that it was an organization that was starting the nonprofit that you did a logo for. They were on the news and everything. I can't remember the name of them.
That's huge.
Yeah, but for me, that was a big moment for you because they were on the news. They did their website. They used your logo. They were a nonprofit doing something in the community. So we're gonna have to get in contact with them and have them on the Speak Up and Inspire series.
Yeah.
Because
I think my contact person was Arlene Hawthorne. I just can't remember the name of it, but it was a great organization, and it was definitely something very important.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What about you, Ms. Jean?
Wow. So reflecting back on 2019, a few things happened. Unlike Cedric, it wasn't just one thing pinpointed, but I became international.
Okay.
D.I.V.A Nation Against Battered Women. We are now in Liberia.
Awesome. I remember you telling me that.
Absolutely. We and I thought that was just one of the most phenomenal things I never saw happening for someone local like myself in Concord. So to go national, one of the other things is, every year when we wrap up D.I.V.A Nation Against Battered Women, the Lunch and Learns, every year I recognize phenomenal people who are doing phenomenal things in the community. So I love that, like you're saying, that give back. So 2019, we were able to award Butterfly Visions Project founder Tiffany Sunshine Brown, and then we awarded Valerie Simon with Against All Odds, and then we had Joan Thatcher Randall with now she's changed the name, but it's Limitless You, I believe is what it is, and then Katrina Thomas again, who travels. Katrina needs a private jet. She really needs a private jet. So I think for me, being able to give back to other individual, because it's not an I thing.
Right.
It's
It's
a
not.
we
It-
thing.
yes.
This
Yes.
absolutely cannot be done by one person.
It
But when
cannot.
we come together and we recognize each other and we appreciate each other and we support each other, that's one of the ways that I give back every year. So
Right.
that's just been one of the most phenomenal things.
I love it. I love it. I think for BVP and the Speak Up and Inspire series, it's just really just seeing our viewing grow.
Right.
It's been really nice going from 20 people to 3,000 people in a year.
Right.
That might not seem like a lot to,
That's a
to
lot.
some people,
That's a lot.
but to see, and then I'm seeing repeat people every
right.
week.
Right.
And then there have been times where my health wasn't well and I wasn't able to do it, or then the guest at the last minute wasn't able to do it, and people inboxing me, "Are you not having a show tonight?"
Wow.
So that lets me know that people are watching. So that was one of my accomplishments for the Speak Up and Inspire series, is that it has grown and people actually look forward to
Yeah.
seeing it. And because they're getting something out of it. They're seeing people just like them
Yeah.
doing really great things and being recognized for it, which is also what you do for your D.I.V.A Nation, giving out those awards.
Yes.
That's something that I think, as an advocate, a local and a community advocate, that's really important for us to be recognized for what we're doing, because we put our sweat and tears into it,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
everything into it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So this is now 2020, and BVP and the Speak Up and Inspire series theme for the year is self-care. That is our theme for the year. So we have a challenge going on right now, and we want everyone to do this, please. Our self-care challenge is that we want you to go either live or do a video, and you're going to tell what does self-care mean to you. That's how you're going to start off. And then I want you to share with your family, your friends, your network, your circle on social media, what is your 2020 self-care goal. That is the theme for us for the year, because it's so important, especially as advocates, especially sharing our stories. It can be a lot emotionally, mentally, but it's so rewarding. But if we don't take care of ourselves, I had a really rough year last year, and I was not taking time out for the self-care, and I fell. And it took me having to fall, unfortunately, for me to realize that I need to take better care of myself and make time for self-care.
Absolutely.
So that's why we have made it the theme for this year. So the big question is, what is your 2020 self-care goal, Mr. Cedric?
For me, and I don't know if you know people that are my friends, whatever, that watch my video. Mine was more so forgiving myself and loving myself. I went through a several months of depression. I'm still kind of trying to go through it, and so just trying to be the best version of myself. So I'm still trying to figure out my steps as far as how I'm gonna get there, but that's my goal, is to be the best version of myself.
And what about you, Miss Alicia? What's your 2020 self-care goal?
My 2020 self-care goal is to continue to eat healthy, eating the right foods, because what made me change and become a pescatarian is I always felt bloated. It was just like, I was just eating anything, any and everything. Oh, you got some cookies? Give me some. You got some chips? Give me some.
Right.
So I want to stay true to the foods that I eat. Stick to that, because I know what you put in your body reflects on how the outside of your body looks, and I'm just so big on loving yourself inside and out. And if you're not putting the right things inside your body, how can you love yourself inside and out? Also, when you said about you had fell, when you don't take the time out to provide self-care, your body will make you.
That's true.
It will physically make you, even if it's down to depression, being really stressed, worrying, anxiety. Your body is basically telling you there is something internal that you're not listening to. And it's like, it gives you little warnings before it gets to the fact, before I get to the part of knocking you straight down.
That's true.
It's just that, are you listening to what your body is telling you? So it's like being more aware of what my body is saying, when it's saying it. So my self-care goal is not only just healthy eating, it's staying in tune to what's going on internally.
That's great. That's great. I like it. I like it. What about you, Miss Jean?
Can you zoom in on me? Because I don't want them to miss this. So self-care for me for 2020, and this is something I had to learn just like each of you, I was burnt out. I remember releasing the book. I remember starting the organization, and that's partly why I am single, but we'll talk about that later. But when you are so indulged and so engaged into your nonprofit, into other things, and you kind of neglect yourself and your relationships, I don't do that anymore. So I want y'all, I told her to zoom in so you can hear this. This is personal. So for me, for 2020, don't call me after 9 o'clock. I don't answer phone calls after 9 p.m. That's Sunday through Sunday. On Sundays, I practice self-care all day. I do not take any personal phone calls related to domestic violence. One of the things I always share with all of the advocates is that we're not 911. If it's something dire, if it's something emergency, you need to call law enforcement. If it's that you just need an ear, call me Monday, girl. You know what I'm saying? Call me Monday after 5 o'clock. But after 9 o'clock, if it's not, if it's just girl chat or I just need an ear, hit me up before 9 o'clock. So, so Sundays, I love movies. I love laughing. So I'm going to see Bad Boys 3 next Sunday. Don't call me. Don't call me. I don't answer the phone after 9 o'clock. It's gonna go to my voicemail, and I'm gonna call you back. So that's self-care for 2020.
Right, and you need to have that time where you just like, it's just all about me.
Yeah.
You have to be selfish to yourself.
Yeah. And when I do get my boo, don't call me.
I said it's still don't call.
After 9 o'clock, don't call me. But if I'm with my boo, I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna be like, "Girl, I'm with my boo. What's up? Can we talk tomorrow?" Self-care.
Right. Love it. Okay, so I'm not going to share mine right now because I want to take the time to introduce you all to Mr. Jonathan Coleman of Blacktopia. He was one of my funniest videos or funniest interviews on the Speak Up and Inspire series. Not because what he was saying was funny, but because we just had a really, really good time. We had a really good time. Jonathan is comical. He always makes me laugh, but he's serious. He's about his business. He is a marketing professional. He will put your business out there. He will support you 100%. Jonathan is the man. So if you need some marketing, some promoting, or anything for your business, especially a startup business, you need to talk to Jonathan. So Jonathan, tell us really briefly about what you do. Tell us about Blacktopia, and then tell us what your 2020 self-care goal is.
Oh yes, I'm Jonathan Coleman, some guy named Jay. That's my podcast name. And I'm a PR specialist, marketing guru, as Tiffany Brown said. Been doing it professionally for well over a decade. Where can I start? TheMediaBlast.net, check that out. Blacktopia.org. Blacktopia is a movement of our people, and it's to showcase the talents and abilities of Black people across the globe, teach the importance of economic empowerment for our people, and just networking and things like that. Is also a fun group too, fun Facebook group. But check out the website and get the Blacktopia mobile app on iTunes and Amazon.com if you have an Android. And what was that? Oh, self-care. Self-care goals for 2020 is I have two main ones, well, three. I'll just talk about the two that's really hitting on my head right now. Is to take more mental health days. On Christmas of 2019, I took the first mental health break that I took ever, and not because it was a holiday, but I just sat there and I did nothing. I meditated. I didn't look at TV. I just rested, turned the phone off. I mean, people have Merry Christmas, thing like that, hit them back. But I didn't do enough of that. And when you just just always go on the go, always doing stuff, you're not as productive in the long run because you're not giving each thing your 100% because you just kind of just, you know, you're on E. Oh, you always got to keep filling up your gas, and you just keep getting tired out. So when you take those mental health days and do nothing, relax, when you get back to work, you can go harder instead of like you're always having to fill up your tank. So take more mental health breaks, take more days to just relax, do nothing, and also treat myself too. Yeah, just go out more because usually when I go out, it's business related and networking and things like that. And I definitely, well, not 100% all the time, but I need to do more of that. More getting out just for the sake of leisure. The other thing is, I want to do some physical stuff too with myself. I've been vegan. I'm coming on the third year of me being vegan. No meat, no dairy for 3 years. But I don't exactly look like it though. The reason why, the reason why is because I eat a lot of vegan junk food. I eat a lot of starches, a lot of sugars. You know, I still eat the bad stuff, even though it's no meat, no dairy. I'm eating vegan chips. I'm eating the fake meats. I'm eating I'm not necessarily eating the cleanest, even though I'm vegan. So moving forward, I'm having more of a clean diet. I'm also going to start doing more things physically. You know, tighten up the body, you know, look a little, you know, better in the clothes, and that's what I'm going to be doing. You know, hitting the gym, and I got some equipment at the house, you know, to get some.
At the house, Joe?
I got a couple of things, but I'm like.
About to say team no shirt.
Right.
Summer,
You know, I'm trying to get diesel, so the next time y'all see me,
you gotta start calling him Big J.
I want people to go, dang, when you got out of prison?
God, his body.
And
all that time in his waist.
Oh yeah. But also too, I want to say one of the biggest things I did in 2019, like Cedric said, you don't do so many good things. It's hard to pinpoint the good stuff. It's so many good things, but one thing that stood out that I did something different. Tiffany says I make her laugh a lot. I produced a sketch comedy show, and it took me a year to do.
It is hilarious.
It took a long time to get it off the ground. I know some of the people was looking at it that's actually involved in the show. It's called Yesterday Night Tape. It's like Saturday Night Live. It's like in living color, but it's an audio podcast with voice acting and things like that. And it's not raw. It's edited up. It has ambient music and background noises, so it paints the scene. So it's not just a bunch of raw vocals. It sounds like it's like television with your eyes closed. But you can still hear the jokes. And I'm pushing that out. Yesterday Night Tape. You can listen to it on Spotify, Deezer, iHeartRadio, and there's something else we went on too. But Spreaker. And so listen to Yesterday Night Tape. A lot of amazing actors, a lot of amazing writers. Comedians. I'm not a comedian professionally, but I have a lot of professional comedians working on the show. They're giving me jokes and things. I'm acting on it as well, and they've coached me and you know, you surround yourself with some good, talented people, and you know they bring that out of me as well. And I also do some impersonations and stuff like that. So you know, so definitely check that out. And was it one more question? Yeah.
No, you answered all of them.
Yeah, you did.
You answered all of them.
Yes. Well, thank you, everybody. This is really a dream come true for me. I've always wanted to do something that had a platform of professional, supportive, inspirational, and life-changing. And I think that we have provided that with our podcast. I want it to continue into 2020. I want to keep showcasing phenomenal people. Just to let you know that our guest here, we have Benton. She is going to be on the Speak Up and Inspire series on April 6th. So please tune in. On March 23rd, we are going
Jay back on the show on March 23rd. We are also going to have Miss Alicia Richardson on April 27th. We need to get you scheduled to have Cedric back on the show. We support the people that support us. I think that's important. We support the people that support us and vice versa. This year I said that I'm going to stop supporting people that do not support us. I'm not going to do it anymore. Because I put a lot of energy into people, and once I say I support you 100%. If you can't give that back to me, then I can take that 100% and give it to someone else.
That's right.
So that is my number one goal
Yes.
in 2020 professionally, and just personally, just making time for self-care. I like the Sunday do absolutely nothing but me Sunday.
Oh yeah, I have.
I'm saying it, and it sounds great.
You need them.
I haven't committed to it, but it sounds good. So
what you
I
need
do need to
is
get
an accountability partner.
You
I do.
You need me to be the accountability partner.
You know what? I probably
So
should
you gonna
because
demote
I
me?
know.
Because I mean, I be helping.
I know. He don't.
He's not going. But
Oh,
you,
really?
No, but see,
You do support me.
work.
You do support me, but you're
But
going to
see,
support
Tiffany-
me when I want to do things.
He's
But-
not going to work because he's right here. With
I
you.
know.
So
yeah.
anytime you like, no, I want to go do this, and it's like,
and you're gonna be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
even if you say no, don't you supposed to be relaxing?
Yeah,
right.
And you be like, you're going to convince him.
Right.
Yeah.
Why
Or
you
he
shouldn't
should convince
be.
you. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you need
an
someone that's
accountability partner.
outside.
I do. I do.
Because I will call you. I'm up about 7 a.m. on Sundays. What time do you get up? What time do you
I
guys
don't. No, I don't get
No,
up that early.
Sunday.
Okay.
Listen, wait a minute. Wait.
No, I don't get up that early.
Sundays is my no business day too, and
Yeah.
I'm not getting up 7 o'clock.
No.
I get up at 6 every day doing.
Well,
business.
I get up because I go to church, so I'm getting ready
I
for Sunday school.
understand.
Well,
Okay,
I
well,
go
I'm
to the
getting ready-
noon service
I'm
because
not
I
getting
sleep
up at-
until
Okay.
11.
Wait a minute. Is
Or
it
the
bedside
Wednesday.
noon service or a real noon
No,
service?
it's a real noon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can call you preferably 2 p.m., 3 p.m.
Yes.
You should have gone to your service.
And been
Come
back
home.
in the
Wait a minute.
business.
Yeah. No going to the store. You need to do that on Saturday.
Yes, ma'am.
Meals should be prepped Saturday night. Meals.
Oh, so no cooking on Sundays either?
No. That's
Oh.
your rest
Well, I don't-
day. That's your self-care
I
day.
don't really cook
So
anymore.
So sure.
Oh.
Okay. See, I do.
Cedric.
You'll be throwing me under the
Cedric.
bus now that she don't go to the store
Okay.
and she don't do the cooking. So
Well, I've been there too. But you know what? It's nothing like a man that can
Yes.
cook. Do it, Cedric.
No.
Nothing like a man that can cook. High five.
So okay, wait a minute, hold up. Because you need your self-care day too.
Yeah. So when do you get a self-care day?
I will give her this. She's real big on the calendar. I don't even be noticing it. I looked at my calendar today. She already scheduled it. On my calendar. It's
Every
just
Sunday's
Cedric.
his self-care
It's just
day.
Cedric self-care day or whatever. And I'm like, okay.
Wait a minute,
Right.
so, wait a minute, I got a question. Hold up. Hold up. Put it in
I
park.
already know the question.
You making sure he has his self-care day, but you ain't making sure you got yours? Don't hide your face.
Right. See, that's what women do. We're nurturers.
I know.
We are
That's
nurturers.
why
So she's nurturing
she's
him
making sure he has
and the
his,
kids.
but
and-
not
yeah.
her. See, no.
So every
no.
Sunday,
Every Sunday.
So Cedric, meals should be prepped on Saturday nights, or just go pick up something on your way home, and then that's it. Movies,
Or DoorDash.
relaxation, and we need to hold the kids accountable.
Yeah.
Because it's self-care day, right? Self-care day for mommy and daddy. That means that the children should be somewhere quiet.
Oh, I
So
don't
it's
know how
funny.
I-
It's funny you mentioned that. So we used to do this. This was more so at our old house or whatever. So it used to be during the week, and I was like, look, I'm not gonna be cooking every day or whatever. So it was 2 days out the week. It's spend for yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
It's literally it's like
Sandwich.
I'm not cooking nothing. She's not cooking nothing.
Right.
I don't know what y'all gonna do, but between now and 9 o'clock, y'all better figure out what y'all ate because then it's gonna be time to go to bed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
be consistent. But now, as long as they have things that they can go in there and get and fix for themselves, a sandwich.
And they
peanut butter
will.
jelly.
I
yeah,
can't give
so
them.
that's
They
good.
will.
Yeah,
They'll
and
do
do they have chores?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Chores. So Sundays when y'all put that sign up,
Mm-hmm.
That's what it means.
Do not
I like it.
disturb.
I like Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, look, small victories. I make sure that bath time is her time. So when it's bath time, ain't nobody allowed to. I'm not even allowed to.
Right.
So
right.
when she get ready to start running that bath, whatever, the door,
Wait a minute,
doors
you
of the room
said
is shut.
she running the bath though. You don't run the bath.
I run the bath.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
I mean,
Okay. All right.
I'm just
Okay.
thinking. Don't put me down here. I'm taking care of my woman, all right? Okay. I got Epsom salt in the bath and everything. Girl.
I had to watch out for the queen.
Do I not put the Epsom salt
I
in
thought
there?
you said when she running the water. That's what I was
I even light a candle in there and everything.
Self-care.
Sometimes they can bring us some wine.
Wait, who said it? It sound like and everything. It sounds like Tiffany had it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
everything.
that is one thing I will do. When I get in the evenings, I have made it very clear. When I get in, I need 30 minutes. to
At
myself.
least.
I need 30 minutes to myself. So.
She even tell me that.
Yeah.
She
Like,
be
is
like,
that- is that-
no
You
question.
gotta, now you gotta come from, oh, I was doing this, doing that, to
Yeah.
I gotta calm down.
Yeah.
Don't ask me no questions.
Mhm.
Don't look at me wrong. Don't
Yeah.
look at me hard. Don't even look at me soft.
Yeah.
Just give me a minute.
Transition.
Right.
Transition.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's why I sit in the car first for a few
Mhm.
minutes.
Yeah.
I have to sit in there and take some.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming. I don't know what time it is, but I'm pretty sure we went over it. And we did.
9:12.
So I want to thank everybody for coming. You too. Sit down. So I'm really big on trinkets. So there was this company that was going out of town, and they were all about cause jewelry or cause pieces.
Okay.
So I got this one for you, Cedric, and it's a bracelet, a leather bracelet. And what does it say on it?
Says love yourself.
Love yourself.
Ooh.
For me, yeah. Hopefully it
It should be
does.
adjustable.
Yeah, I think it is. But I gave that to you because I know that you're working on yourself right now, and that that's a big part of your self-care right now is getting to know Cedric. And part of getting to know you is loving yourself
Mm-hmm.
and giving you what you need to take care of you, and that starts with loving yourself.
Yes, God.
So,
Stand strong at home.
then I wanted to give this to Mr. Jonathan, and I'll let you read it, and then I'll tell you why I gave it to you.
All right. Where's the message?
On the silver plate right there.
Oh.
Mhm.
You matter.
You matter.
Yes, I matter.
I thought it was important to give that to you because you're marketing everybody. You're promoting everybody. And so I wanted you to know that while you're letting us know that we matter, that you matter too.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
And then this is for, let's see. Storm. I can hardly, okay, so this one's gonna have to be open so that you can read the whole thing. So. There we go. I can't see. Okay. This one is for you.
If you couldn't read it, I'm not gonna be able to read it.
Okay, so
Let me see who has some reading glasses. Oh wow! Where is the?
So it's inscribed right there.
When I go home and get my reading glasses, I'll be able to read this out to you.
Let me see if I can read it to
see.
you.
I can't see. It's not written on the.
It started with it.
Oh.
Oh.
Hold up, y'all.
We all have that.
Wait a minute,
Can
I
read
see-
it.
Hey,
I can read it.
Some young eyes.
Yeah, I can read
Some
it.
young eyes. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it says, life's roughest storms prove the strength of our purpose or our anchors.
Okay, I think
So,
the word.
yeah. Yeah. So life's roughest storms prove the strength of our anchors. So I wanted to give that to you.
Thank you.
Because
Beautiful.
2019, I had a lot of storms, and you were really there for
Yes.
me. You were really there for me.
Thank
So
you,
I wanted to give that to you.
Thank
And then this one is for you.
Thank you. Yes.
Be the change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
You
you.
struggling too?
And I gave that to you because with Memorable Moments by Lee, you talk about self-love and connecting with yourself. And so with you, your message has always been about starting within
Yeah.
and being able to give that strength to others, starting with yourself.
Yeah.
So that's why I got that for you. You're welcome. You're welcome. So everyone, thank you for listening in. We have gone over our time, but I'm sure that you're still watching. I will make sure that you can see the replay. I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the Speak Up and Inspire series and Butterfly Visions Project. Please follow all of our inspirational guests here, Mr. Jonathan Coleman, Mr. Cedric Sanders, Miss Alicia Richardson, and Miss Irish Benton. Everyone have a good night, and we will see you next Monday at 8 o'clock, our regular time, and we are going to be interviewing Mr. Stephen Govan, and he is a survivor of domestic violence as a child. He's going to share his story. Thank you.
Incredible.
And have a good night.
Okay, I had a blast.
Saving it.
guys.
Nice.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had it on.
Oh, okay.